In just a few short weeks, the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show returns to Powers and Daly Roads in West Bloomfield Township, featuring a host of talented artists from all over the country and with influence from all over the world. Crocifissa Grillo is an abstract artist working out of both Florida and Michigan and is one of the many artists featured in this year's art show, joining us now on the Splash Live. Thank you so much for being with us today.
You're welcome. Thank you, Tyler.
Yeah, happy to have you on. So you come to the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show in late July, bringing a variety of different pieces that all have their origins in some abstract expressionism. Tell us a little bit about your process and what art you create.
Yeah, so my process starts with actually, I'm a very, when I go to different places in the world, or I live in Florida half of the year, so around me, I get my inspiration from that. I also get it from being a female, and I like to show the empowerment of that and how we can explore and move forward with our lives and still have that feminine quality. So that kind of is a projection and cohesive to my work, as well as like travels. I've traveled and lived in Italy. So that really embodies the person that I am as an artist and why I do it.
And when we mentioned that these artists sometimes come from all over the world or have influences from all over the world, you mentioned you lived in Florence, and that had a pretty big impact from my notes on your artistic development, and ultimately it reflects in many of your pieces. How did your time in Florence have influence over the art that you create?
Well, I would have to say, because it's more hands-on and not just literature, I feel like I was able to I seen where Michelangelo lived. I went to the piazza. I actually took my two young teenagers with me at the time. I went back to school when I turned 40 years old, and I told them, give me the highest degree you got. So during my undergrad studies, I ended up going to Florence, and it influenced me in the way where, like I said, hands-on and being able to see in the sculptures and feel it. And it's almost like I gained a freedom of, I can say whatever I want through my artwork, because in my mind, I feel that what an artist has to say, everybody else wants to say it, but we're the vessel to do so for everybody. So that's how.
And so from Florence to Florida to Michigan, so many of these places, they have influence in all of your pieces. But you've also described your art as being in part musical too. So how does music or that sort of musical rhythm or melody play a role in how you design the art you're bringing to Orchard Lake?
Yeah, that's a good question, Tyler. So when I began to do my process, I actually put my paints, I'm in my studio, so I put my paints, I consider it like a symphony where I could paint without even having to know visually where the colors are. And so it creates like this symphony to where it enables me to process the work prolifically, as well as it's like I'm singing to my own beat, so it's like a symphony and just taking your own music and taking that and bringing it into my world of art. So that's kind of how I feel a symphony is, where it's like cohesive. The music is just cohesive, but everybody kind of works together, and it creates like a symphony. So that's the way I look at it, and that's how I feel about it.
The Orchard Lake Fine Art Show returns to Powers and Daly Roads, just off of Orchard Lake in West Bloomfield, July 26th and 27th. That's a Saturday and a Sunday. Many of the artists that will be there will be featured on our show in the coming weeks. And today, that includes Crocifissa Grillo, who joins us on the Splash Live, a mixed media artist who spends her time both in Florida and close to home right here in the state of Michigan. Crocifissa, when you ultimately come to the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show in late July, people walk up to your stand, they see your art. What are the immediate feelings you hope are invoked in them, or what they take from viewing and hopefully purchasing your pieces?
Well, I'll tell you what, Tyler, because I want to show you this,
Sure.
I do mixed media, and I have a few types of bodies of work, right? So the first, one body of work consists of my females, which are here. And so these are in the interior of my tent. And so when they walk in there, I feel like they have like an empowerment. as a female or as a male as well, but empowerment towards the female. And then I also have my sculptures here, which that takes that as well. So if you see how I've taken my old world from being in Italy, and I've taken that and I make my sculptures, so that embodies the woman as well. And then, Tyler, I have back here, this is a actual one I just finished, and it is from a picture I had taken years ago in Florence. I'm going to be heading to Italy again this year, as well as I have artwork in Florence, and it's going to go to Milan and Rome. But this one here is indigenous to wood itself. I have created on red cedar. And the red cedar, what it does is it absorbs the paint very well, but each one of my edges, I want people to know, and when they see that I use high quality, because I feel like my artwork deserves to be on something that is meaningful. So the wood that I use is red cedar, and I take and break all of these edges, everything here, and then it goes in onto, I piece it all together, kind of like a puzzle. So I want people to see and recognize that I'm very diverse in my artwork. You know, yes, it's about the female when you first walk in, but it's the female who travels to all these places. So cohesively, I feel like that embodies, you know, that. So that's what I feel. I feel like it's a freedom. It just, I just feel free. I feel free when I make my artwork, because it's my own world, and then I can share it with others. And I want it to touch their heart, you know. So that's why I'm here on this earth.
And that's such a big part of what art plays in people's lives. It's exploration, it's creativity, it's relaxation, but there's also that nurturing element to it. How much of a factor do you think that plays, not only in your design, but ultimately when you go to these art shows and you're interfacing with customers, ultimately their appreciation of what you've created?
Great question. So I have a client that I've been in touch with from last year, from this actual show in West Bloomfield at the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show. And since then, a wonderful person. She purchased quite a few of my pieces. I went to Fort Lauderdale. I met up with her. She made me dinner. It was great. And then as I was there, she decided she wanted another piece. I commissioned one for her as well. So I am very personable. And when people buy my pieces, I'm hoping that they will understand that they're buying a piece of me, and therefore their heart and life are going to be touched by what I created. And I know that somehow it's almost as if it was made for them, you know. So that's what I vision in my mind.
We only have a limited amount of time for these interviews on the Splash Live. You will have unlimited time at the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show to explore so much art from so many incredible artists at one of the top 100 art shows in America, as voted 12 times by Sunshine Artist Magazine. The Orchard Lake Fine Art Show, July 26th and 27th in West Bloomfield Township. Joining us on the Splash today is Crocifissa Grillo, who's one of the many artists you will see there. And Crocifissa, we thank you so much for your time today and showing us your art.
Thank you so much, Tyler. I hope to see everybody there. It's a great show.